Yakmala! Welcome back, my friends, to the Cult Film Showdown. I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and I am pleased to be joined by my good friends. I have James Cotta.
I'm here. I have been up too late every night, so I'm feeling like maybe a soft rock zombie.
Soft rock zombie. All right then. And then next up we have our pop rock zombie, and that would be Nick Boxer.
Greetings and salutations. Soft rock zombie. Bad porn name.
Oh, so Nick, where are you right now? I know that last episode you were in Alaska. Where are you now?
I am supposed to be in Texas. However, I missed my flight. I am still stuck up here in Alaska. And, you know, those direct flights from Alaska to Texas are not all that frequent. So I might be stuck here till late tomorrow morning.
Oof.
Pissed off beyond belief. I can't believe Brad is putting me through this to find him. Just, you know, talking to every little cooch that he has fouled with his dirty, dirty ways.
And it's winter in Alaska, so isn't morning like 11 a.m. or so?
Oh,
like an hour and a half of sunlight.
You know, somebody made me have a watch once, but I don't know how to read it. It's not digital.
And speaking of not digital, Jack Hall.
Sup? I was wondering how it is that Yakmala has not been inducted into our Hall of Fame. The Saints of the Octagon. How's that phrase still going? And from Jim Cotta, the wonderful film Jim Cotta.
Yes, our first movie ever.
How's that not being inducted? It's just occurring to me. That and I don't care if Nick is still there tomorrow morning. I just care that by the next time we record, he's no longer in Alaska.
He'll be frozen. He perhaps could be eaten by a Yeti. You never know with these things. So this, my friends, though, is apparently, unbelievably, season 16 of the Cult Film Showdown. And we are doing canon movies, so this is canon fodder. And this time, so we have a movie that's not a Golden Globus movie, but it's still one that was put out by Canon and given distribution by Canon. It's Hard Rock Zombies. So we're rocking down the highway, and speaking of that highway, we're going to have to listen to Nick attempt to describe this one. And I'll say attempt because if there's anyone in the world who could truly describe this, and I'll include the actual film director in that, then I would seriously question them.
I feel like my whole life has led to this moment.
God bless Canon, because no one else can put out a film this awesome. I love this film. Hard Rock Zombies, as the title suggests, stars rock and roll band traveling across the country, and they are booked a concert / audition for some sort of agent in a small conservative town. Now, instead of staying in a hotel, they decide to stay with the family of a hitchhiker they just picked up a few miles down the road. Now, this turns out perhaps to be a mistake. It's unclear whether they would have done any better if they actually continued on to the motel. But this family turns out to be the family of Hitler, who, yeah, how can I describe this? I have no idea.
Yeah. Family of Hitler's pretty good.
Who are Hitler's family, who are now inbred ghouls.
I think you could say Hitler's family and a werewolf.
And a werewolf.
Yeah, and a monster dwarf.
And a monster dwarf, but weren't
and
they
a regular dwarf.
The dwarves were grandchildren as well. I don't know. All you have to know
they were, yeah.
Yes.
Rock and roll band staying in a weird-ass house with a bunch of freaks. Now, the town they decide they don't like rock and roll all of a sudden, and they got a big act coming in, so they start to freak out too, and mobs start to form, and they start banning stuff at the town council, and everyone gets all excited. But before anything goes wrong, well, Hitler's family kills our band, and it's oh my god, movie's over, and we're only 45 minutes in. But luckily, due to some strange coincidence, unlikely coincidence, the band was working on a magical song. I don't know why, and it's played by one of their fans. I don't know why the unreleased song would be, just played in the graveyard or whatever. This magical song resurrects dead, not the dead, not just the band, but all dead. So all of a sudden we got a bunch of zombies all over the place. The band gets up and, rather than eating brains like everybody else, they decide, let's go to the audition anyway and play a couple songs. So they head off, and they're awesome in that. But zombies are now attacking both Hitler's family and the conservative town members that were ready to kill the people for rock and roll anyway. And fun ensues, I guess, until the band plays their audition and decides they're human anyway, and they then decide to play another song that leads both all the Nazi zombies, or all the Nazi family and the zombies that have been created and have been resurrected into Hitler's gas chamber. I love this movie. It doesn't make a lot of sense. This deserves to be like one of the best known cult classic movies of all time. I think if the good songs had hit in the first half of the movie, we'd have heard of this movie before. But man, this came out of nowhere for me. What a wonderful fucking film!
I did say. Oh, I was just gonna say when I picked this, I remember saying Hard Rock Zombies and You're Welcome. At that point, I had not seen any of it. I only knew it had hard rock, zombies, and Nazis, and I knew that would be right up our alley.
Yeah, it almost feels like we.
The best parts of this film are just the sides. I mean, you got the decapitated head just having adventures throughout 40 minutes of this movie with like no rhyme or reason. You got Nazi zombie dwarfs attacking cows for no apparent reason. It's just like joke scene. I loved it. I mean, you have a guy eating his own face in this movie.
Yeah, I was going to say that it feels like we should just skip right to scoring, because I'm pretty sure that the entire movie will be in What the Fuck.
I think that's a pretty accurate. I can help Nick out with one of the things he didn't understand. Only one. Our hero Jesse, the lead singer of the hard rock band, gives the fan a tape and says, "If anything happens to me, play this at my grave." And that's why she plays the tape. That is like it's like the magic spell that brings them all back.
But has he actually? I know he got the song from the book that resurrects the dead, but
a book
that it was effective.
Well, I guess what do you got to lose at that point? Like,
well, no,
if you haven't seen the movie, that book isn't funny, but you've seen it, then this to me. Okay, you guys go ahead with what you're going to say.
And they've already proven that it works, because he freaking kills a tarantula 2 or 3 times and keeps resurrecting it by playing the song on the bass.
Honest to God, I didn't understand that when it happened. Thank you for explaining that.
Well, because the same thing had happened earlier. There was a fly that they kept killing.
That's right. Yeah, a little gnat on the back of his head.
That's why I knew that's what's happening to the
this movie while watching it, or even after. I think you've missed the point of this movie.
So I know the only movie we've put up previously ever for people to watch was I Like to Hurt People, which eventually got taken down. Maybe we should try put that back up on Daily Motion. Maybe it's always out there. And this is the same thing. Whereas I feel like we should put this up because this is everything this podcast is supposed to be. We have discovered a movie that it isn't a cult film, classic. It hasn't got a huge following. It's not Troll 2 or a film that has been on MSK or Mystery Science Theater or whatever 3000, Riff Tracks. It hasn't been, hasn't played the Alamo Drafthouse, but it should. Like, it should be on, well, how did this get made and things like that. It should, but it isn't. It's like totally unknown, and yet, like you say, it deserves, like Nick said, it deserves this much greater following. I feel like we should put it out there and hopefully get this thing going because it's like we did for Flesh Gordon too. I could see there being a documentary made on this because of us.
Just to put it out there, there are several copies on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say that I take charge of researching how to find these films, which has sometimes been quite an adventure. YouTube is not only the place I found it; it's the only place I found it.
Okay, so, even better then people can watch it.
There is, yes. There is at least one full copy. Yeah.
Stop right now, go watch it, then come back and listen to the episode. Because you need to see it first. It's something else.
The second that we start talking about it, it's like shit just gonna go crazy from here.
All right, well let's let us move into scoring. In our search for the ultimate B movie, we rate each film in 5 categories, none of which are objective quality. The first category we call schlock appeal, and we start with Stan.
I ran the gamut with this movie. Like, when it started off, I was just like, oh man, the transfer of this, it's really low budget, it's really crazy, I just don't know. And then the band is playing and it's like cheesy and it's just like, oh, I don't know. And then the next thing you know, there's Hitler and it's just like, what? and then it's a comedy. And then the second half comes around and it's like Night of the Living Dead, and you can just pick all these points out of other things that it's aping, and at the end of it you realize like it's almost impossible to explain, and yet it's the weirdest thing you've ever seen, and so it's the kind of thing that I can totally see us, eventually when we're able to come together from the 4 or 5 corners of the world that we're in, and this is one that we'll want to sit down and watch together. So I will give it a 10.
Yes. This is not a schlock movie. This is all schlock movies. In one movie, awesome. 10. 100%.
I think they could have cut 10 minutes off of it. It goes a little bit past the 95 minutes, and so I'm gonna dock it for that. Because it did run a little bit too long, so I'm going to dock it a couple points from that. But it's definitely super schlocky, and there's no way you're not laughing. And if you're into these type of movies, having a good time with this, I'm giving it an 8.
It promises and over delivers, which is an impressive feat. Like The first 20 minutes, it was already like so over the top and wacky, and then the turning point where they bring in actual Hitler. I think
that's after, like, he's an old man who's wearing this makeup. Hitler's wearing this makeup. That's, you know what? Actually, this is going to come up in WTF, so I'm going to leave it.
There's so much.
We're a good halfway through the film before it's revealed he's actual Hitler.
Yeah. But I'm just
they're
saying
not just Nazis. Oh. Which means he's 95
years old and he looks like he hasn't aged a day.
This marks the first time, I think, on the show that we have had a sex scene with Hitler.
The first.
Oh, let's not say only. The night is young, as they say. 10 for me as well. More heart than the budget. Well, I couldn't find a budget.
I found the budget. I found the budget. Yeah. $35.
Is
No,
that
I
just-
didn't actually find the budget, but it
Is that
does
just
feel
for-
like $35.
You know what? To make up, because this truly did look like it was $35, but there is so much going on. I mean they have Paul Sabu doing the music, and that's fantastic. I mean, but there's so much going on here, and you know, I really wish that I could make up for Jack's 8 by giving this a 12, but because they were all in. But I will give it a 10.
Actually, for me, this is all heart. 'Cause, I mean, if you read the trivia about this movie was supposed to be a fake trailer in another movie, and they just were having so much fun, they decided, fuck it, let's make the fucker. 10, 100%.
Yeah, this was supposed to be 20 minutes of American Drive-In, like 20-minute film that they were making to show on the screen at American Drive-In. And literally they're like, hey, let's make 2 movies at once. And we got this one, which explains why they had no money. And yet they had some, like, it's not like they were like, hey, we have no money, let's not bother to do any special effects. No, we had a guy eating himself, and and I do mean eating himself with mustard and everything.
That's one of the single greatest, like, so amazing.
So amazing. And the zombies, pulling heads off and biting into people, and the gore effects. Like we have gore effects and stuff like that, like you would expect in a zombie film. I mean, it's impressive considering they haven't got money to light a scene properly or to make sure that the boom mic isn't in the shot.
No, that's for damn sure.
But they do have the money for the gore effects. I got a 10 on this.
What a crazy adventure this movie is, because it is that gonzo filmmaking where everything's a single take, but they do some things that are quite surprising. It's, there was definitely some care put into making things cool. I think more than making it impressive or making the film quality, it was like, let's do something cool. So 10 for me as well. So 10s across the board. We rarely get a perfect score in a category.
Especially this one.
Especially, I would have to check to find if we've ever had a perfect score in this category.
Yeah,
The next, and I have lots of time to check because
Yes.
our next category is what the fuck moments, and I caution to not do all 96 minutes of the film. 98.
Actually, for me, at a certain point, I stopped. I stopped this because it was just like, yep, it's all there. It's all we could seriously just go through every 96. So my first note is the hitchhiker to skinny dipping to photographer with 2 monster dwarfs to the killing of the hard rockers or of the 2 long-haired guys and the hand cutting off. And it was just like that. That was the first 3 minutes of this movie. And then you have the very heavy metal looking band that plays like a pop song in a heavy metal club.
If they're heavy metal or hard rock even,
Yes.
Poison is thrash.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions to bring to, because a couple of my fellow hosts here are aficionados in the hard rock heavy metal world. This did not feel hard rock to me.
There was
A
one
few of the songs at the end were,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not the songs early on.
Well, and it's so crazy because Paul Sabu, who did the music, has had a long career in the music industry, and he's worked with everybody. From Motown to Wasp. So I mean, he's got the chops, but it's but there was definitely they were all over the map with the music for sure. That same heavy metal band, there was that one scene in the back of the club where he's like, I need photographs, and they're like, no, we don't want photographs, we don't want to get signed or anything like that, and then they unleash the girls, and the guys are like, oh, what are you doing, man? It was just like, they're complaining that the girls have just been unleashed on them.
They
Yeah.
hate groupies. Absolutely
Yeah.
hate groupies.
The first rock band ever that doesn't want to bang a bunch of women.
Yeah, it was so.
Now, wasn't the band's complaint they were underage?
No, that was nobody's complaint. In fact, he sits there and the manager says to him, like the guy's like, a girl comes up to him. He's like, yeah, hey, sign those nubile underage bosoms. So he does. And everybody else, like the one girl was maybe underage, but I don't know why they left. But even before that, before the girls even entered the room, they were like, we don't want them. We don't want those groupies.
Yes. And that's WTF straight up, because no rock band has ever said that.
Nothing says rock and roll like keep the groupies out of here.
Yeah, nothing says rock and roll like wandering around in your Ginch underwear together.
Especially in the 80s. Didn't the one guy have a sock over his cock?
Then you move ahead, and they get to the town of Grand Guignol, depending on who's pronouncing it, and like the music video that was the photo shoot, where it was the Monkees with the band, and it was insane because it was basically right out of the Monkees.
So this is my question for you guys. Did this film set a record for montages?
It definitely set. It's coming close to having the biggest flashback to just saw the scene ratio.
And music videos, this is the one where it was just like you could take all of these things and lay them out as music videos in and of themselves. I mean, very impressive in that regard. Then here's my note. It was German grandparents making whoopee. You don't realize that's freaking Hitler.
You don't know that that's Hitler and a werewolf at that point.
Yeah, and it's just and she's like, I can't believe at 95 that you are still able to have sex. And then the two dwarfs show up and they want to watch. And he's like, no, you can't watch. 9. And then she's like, oh, it's fine. Let them watch. And it's just...
Well, his problem was he didn't want the grandchildren watching.
Yes. I mean...
For family.
Yeah. It still really... It was really out of nowhere, even in this movie.
Yeah, and then so eventually they got to watch.
Yes.
So the two dwarves who are the grandchildren of these people... I think he's the grandfather and she's the mother. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because one of them is it's never explained why one of them is completely deformed. Good enough.
And yet, get to watch. I believe there's a daughter that is hot.
There's a daughter that's hot. I mean, who else watched this and went, oh, this whole time I thought that The Devil's Rejects was inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Turns out it was inspired by Hard Rock Zombies.
Yeah. And then of course there's the electric shock with the boom mic. That was an excellent scene. Honestly, did anyone see, is this a meeting or a session coming? Because,
oh my god!
Yeah, the Robert's Rules of Order argument at the town council was a surprising turn.
It was like
I thought the mention of him owning the sheep with great detail from that one guy. All of a sudden, the bestiality at the town meeting was where it went really by the wayside.
There was so much in that town meeting, and it was just like yes, you talked earlier about cutting, if you could cut like 10 minutes out, and that was probably part of where you could, but damn, it's some weird stuff for this movie.
Hard rock apparently leads to underage sex, premarital sex, and physical sex. I love it.
Worst of all.
Yes. Oh man. Then the shower scene that would have had Hitchcock rolling in his grave.
Oh my god. The gratuitous nudity. Thank God this movie even managed to fit that in there.
And, oh yeah, and then so much blood and so much and the shower curtain being torn off and the close up of it coming off of the rungs. Amazing stuff. And then of course Hitler has become Hitler at this point. We are in the nearing the zombie moment, and it became the Texas Weed Whacker Massacre. And that,
yes.
like, it's straight out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only with a weed whacker, and that's was so mind blowing. At that point, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stop taking notes because every moment from this point on is just gonna be a note. So that's pretty much where I left off. There's oodles and oodles and oodles, but I find it hard to believe that you can't give this a 10.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, the Texas Chainsaw stuff, it was done so confidently in a movie that should be crappy. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were shots taken right out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a weed whacker.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome.
Like, there's so many shots in this movie that I guarantee were ripped from other movies.
Oh, yeah, but, I mean, a movie this bad good shouldn't have that kind of quality. But, anyway, you said 10? You're scoring 10?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm going with a 10 as well. This movie is WTF up the wazoo. I loved every second minute, but I'm going to use my time. So hopefully you guys can explain a couple things that happened in the movie that I didn't understand the reasons for. The whole
I'm willing to give it a shot.
The whole villagers trying to scare the zombies away from their town with face masks. Did anyone understand what the hell was going on there?
Oh yeah, well, because they said that according to the one guy's book, after they established that they weren't vampires, according to the book, they said that because the zombies' brains melted away, and so they didn't like heads, and they kept cutting them off, and they wouldn't touch them. So they figured that if
they didn't like heads have brains in them, and therefore heads are their natural nemesis.
Yes, and
turned
so
out not the case.
Yeah, and so then they figured
that doesn't leave the basement came up with this plan.
Yeah, and then he sent other people out to test his plan.
Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. I got that in its entirety. I thought I missed something there.
You did.
Other thing I didn't completely understand was where the hell the Jew came from in the fake beard that tried to explain stuff from him. Was he from Hitler's bunker or something?
No, he was just a character they decided to put in because they thought it would be funny.
Yeah, and honestly, like, he was right out of nowhere.
And in fairness, it was, so,
Yeah.
Can't fault him on that.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, my only problems with the WTF, other than the ones I haven't mentioned it, they're all wonderful. This is like WTF the movie. I loved every second of it. There was one I had a little bit of a problem with. I found Hitler describing his gas chambers in vivid detail was a little bit it was kind of in bad taste in comparison to the tone of the rest of the movie. But, I mean, for WTF, how can you not have a 10 in this particular section?
So I don't have a 10 in this.
I quit. I quit. I'm done. I'm out.
I have a 9. And the reason why is because a lot of these ones, like the ones, for instance, you'd think that's a WTF, them coming out with the heads. But because they're making a comedy, a lot of these WTFs to me can be put aside as, okay, they just thought that was a sight gag. They're just having fun. And so I think a whole bunch, some of them are just the WTFs that are the incompetence and the wonderful just, like the fact that they throw them in jail and it's clearly just like a barn that they found with, and they don't even bother killing the straw off the ground or anything. And it's just looks so funny and everything like that. So, I mean, there's a bunch like that, but there's also a bunch that I think could be explained by the fact that it's a comedy. So I'm docking it a point for that. So I got a 9.
Well, I mean, amazingly, there are still a few left.
Well, there's a ton left.
I'd say that I would agree with Nick that that tonally the use of a gas chamber as the finale is questionable at best. I mean, if you're establishing, as Jack said, that this is a comedy, it's a weird choice. And I did also wonder if I mean, you got to kind of define the rules of a zombie every time you make a zombie movie, because they're all slightly different. There is no quintessential "this is what a zombie is," but the really defining factor of a poison gas is that it's a gas that you inhale and bad things happen. And I'm not entirely sure that zombies inhale.
I'm not even 100% sure they were zombies, to tell you the truth.
Well, I guess if the hard rock isn't hard rock, then the zombies may also be a misguide. The severed heads, they're funny and they're interesting where they put them, but they don't normally. If you had an effect that wasn't that great, you would quickly show it. But they have a woman that carries around her husband's severed head for a long period of time, and it's like clearly like just the silliest mannequin head. But they don't make any attempt to hide that, which is it's shameless and awesome. You mentioned the discussion at the town council meeting about whether it's a session or whether it's a meeting. It's like this Robert's Rules of Order form gag that is quite weird. And then they pass a rule to ban the concert. And one of the guys goes, "Hey, did you read this thing we just voted on? Because it actually bans all rock and roll, not just the concert."
Yes.
And like they're still in session. They're like, "Oh, I guess we banned all rock and roll then. We better start burning stuff."
Everybody get your records together.
You can't even sing it on the street.
Yeah, the sheriff says you can't sing it on the street. You can't own any. You can't be adjacent to it. Essentially, if you pass by rock and roll music, you're in trouble. So it's an odd and fun section of the film. I'm going with a 10 as well. How could you not?
You know what? I know they were trying to make a film that's bad that shows up as funny on American Drive-In, the movie. So,
but the thing is, and I felt that exact same way too, for a little bit. But then they keep going, and they keep hammering it and hammering it and hammering it, and.
But okay, it's like there's the scene where there's the guy that shows up. He's the talent scout for the record company that they're going to play the concert in front of because they're trying to get a record deal. And he sets up at a table in this bar, this theater to watch them. And then they span back to him, and he's made himself at home, and he's got his Rolodex there, and he's got the drinks, and he's got his stuff, including himself, a picture of himself in a bikini, showing himself posing with this wicked body. Okay, is that WTF, or is that them trying to be funny, or is it both?
I think honestly it's both. Because the thing is that them trying to be funny is flat out ridiculous. Because they truly this is not like aimed funny. This is throw everything on the screen and hope that something shows up as funny.
Well, what's funny about it is often it's not funny, and that makes it funny.
Exactly.
That they're trying this hard to tell a joke.
Oh yeah, because like we talked about earlier with the whole gas chamber, that's not funny. This is a comedy that has many moments of gas chamber talk and Hitler.
I cannot believe though nobody brought up the romance in this thing of the girl that meets the lead singer. And then he meets her again later, and he's like, "I can't get out of your mind. I wrote a song about you." Then he goes, "What's your name?" And she goes, "Cassie." And then they cut to the song that he's singing it already with his band. They know the song, and it's called Cassie. So I'm like, so wait, you wrote a song called Cassie about her? And it just coincidentally turned out to be her name.
Well, he's just lucky that her name isn't Bernadette.
I never even hug. Forget kiss. Except for in a dream sequence. In a dream sequence, she's marrying him, but they never hug or anything. And then at the end, she's up by his graveside talking about how she's 10. Talking about how he's the one, and she loves him, and she'll always only love him. I'm like, you never even hugged him, nevertheless kissed him. Like, you guys knew each other for 10 minutes. I tried to hold out. I did.
I'm with Stan that I think that he left a placeholder in the song until he found out her name. But if it had been like a 3 or 4 syllable name, he would have been screwed. He was just assuming that there was like 1 to 2 syllables. If her name had been Cass, he would have gone with Cassie.
Yeah,
no problem.
I suppose if her name was Bernadette, he could have gone with Bernie.
You're gonna have to, yeah. If you're gonna make that song work, you're gonna have to bring it back down to 2 syllables.
Yeah.
And like,
but you're gonna call it
missing
Polly?
the point. Love transcends all. He didn't have to know her name to know her name.
That's yeah. What's your name? Henrietta. Does anyone call you Henry? No, no one would ever do that. Rita? Anyone? Maybe I can call you Rita. That's a sweet pet name, right?
I mean, I can't believe none of you brought that up. Leaving me to and then having to up my score.
Memorable moments is our next category.
One of the things that I'll remember about this is the wonderful Phil Fondacaro being in it. He's been in Troll, he's been in Ghoulies 2, Garbage Pail Kids movie. I was super happy to see him in it. He's always a treat. It's one of those cases where, like, there's some things, we talk a lot about the WTFs versus memorable moments. Like, to me, there's things that I would have that seem WTF but are really, really memorable. Like the character that eats himself, especially at the very end when the skull slurps through the face and the hair right down and and it's just like that's never leaving my brain. Like that's a moment. That's a wonderful moment. The very end. So I mean, we're talking about the fact that they've all been in a gas chamber. Our lead singer was in there with the rest of the band. And then when she goes to say that she loves him, he's back in his grave. And I assume that they went into the gas chamber and just buried them all. I guess that's really, but his hand comes out with the ring, and it just kind of tops off that romance. I will never forget the experience of watching Hard Rock Zombies and my variety of opinions and what I thought this movie was and kept getting proven wrong moments. So I can't go a full 10, but I will go a 9.
Yeah, I would like to say, or how should I put it? To say I'm going to forget anything about this film would imply that I'm going to stop watching this film. It's going to be on constant loop at my house. Because, wow, I love it so much. Yeah, some of it's crappy, and it sucks that we only have access to a very, very bad print. I don't know if a good print exists. So some of it is lost. For those little lost bits in between the scenes that I didn't quite understand, I'm not going to remember those. So I'm only going high as an 8 just because I don't want 10s across the board for any film.
I'm going less. I mean, good luck forgetting this movie once you've watched it. There's no chance you're forgetting it. But that's because of the WTFs, not because it has this great moment. The skull slurping its own skin off and then swallowing it. at the end is pretty cool. That won't leave me. And that the gas chamber image, because it was so ghastly and like in poor taste, won't leave me in the wrong way. But I mean, again, it's tough to score high in both WTFs and memorable moments, and this film is all WTF. So I only got a 6 on it. Actually, yeah, 6. Yeah, because I can't leave you. There's no way.
Actually, can I down my score 1 just for the lack of memorable songs?
Yes, definitely. The music is not memorable. 7 for you and a 5 for me. Then, no, 6.
I feel like we're missing something here.
Where did we lose?
I was just trying to remember all of the memorable moments. No, I accidentally muted myself there. I feel like in a movie that's got one song, that's 2 songs that are played over and over, I should have remembered at least one of them, and that's not the case. But what I will always remember of this film is actual Hitler. You don't get actual Hitler a lot, and you definitely don't get actual Hitler in a sex scene.
Or a surprise. I am very rarely surprised when I see Hitler in the movie.
The reveal, like I had no idea
terrific.
That guy was Hitler, right?
Yeah, the reveal is terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like, what? I literally said that out loud when I was watching it.
I backed it up. I'm like, is that a thing that just happened? Like did I accidentally download 2 movies or something? Like YouTube have 2 movies combined here. Because he reveals that he's Hitler. He's telling the guy who had been the manager of the band that he's got some work for him. He's looking for a few good men, and then reveals himself to be Hitler. I love that they Nazi armband up everyone. And I was just reading a movie book, and a screenwriter was talking about why he used Nazis in a movie. And he was asked why that, because it didn't make sense in whatever movie he was doing. And he's, well, because no one cares how many Nazis you kill. You can go nuts. So I'm going to go to an 8. I think it is a little overpowered by the WTFs, but it will live on in our hearts. Final category is called Crazy Concept.
It's got all the crazy in there. Hitler. That's like trying to sell somebody. Okay, so I'm gonna be wanting to do a movie called Hard Rock Zombies. Okay. So what's your band gonna sound like? Well, they're gonna sound kind of like pop music. And then it's gonna be like, oh, okay. And so then they're gonna turn into zombies. Yeah, they're gonna turn into zombies. Who are they facing? Well, they're gonna fight Hitler. And it's just like, okay. Oh, and by the way, it's a comedy. And I guess maybe that should be expected at that point. This is most definitely unlike anything I've ever seen. I think the only thing that I'll maybe dock it for is the fact that they did take so many other movies and homage them in it. So for that, I will go with a 9.
I'm going for a 9. The concept for me of this film is 4 guys sitting in a room writing a movie going, let's make a movie for us 4 people. No one else is going to see it. This is just for us. And it is the best concept ever. And it's weird as fuck to even attempt to do such a thing. So, yeah, 9. 100. I love this.
There's no way this could have been made if they had to pitch it. Luckily, they went. Luckily, they're making another movie that needed a drive-in movie, and they went, "What's the most drive-in movie we can make?" let's like take all these crazy concepts and put it in there because it's only going to be 20 minutes long and on screen. And it's just going to be funny and it's comedy, and we're just going to throw it all in there. And then at some point it expanded to a full movie, and the craziness expanded with it. And it's like this is an easy 10 for me. I mean, I wish I could give it 50. Like I think it's just like the craziest concept ever when you think about Nazi incest, werewolves, zombies, comedy.
Yeah, there's a werewolf for no frickin' reason.
No reason at all.
Yeah, it's a 10.
It's a werewolf in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's where it's an old werewolf in a wheelchair. Old lady werewolf in a wheelchair.
What every choice is a weird one.
I kind of thought the old Jew would explain why we have a werewolf in this. Because I don't even understand why they're ghouls.
The old Jew couldn't explain why he was there.
No, that's true. Every choice is a weird one, and this is one time that none of us could even jokingly say it's internally consistent. Because everything that happens is diametrically opposed to every other minute of the film.
It's both internally and externally inconsistent.
I wonder where this would have scored for us without actual Hitler. Like if they just been regular neo-Nazis or something, it wouldn't have gone that extra level of what on earth is happening.
No, there would have been a lot more like sixes and eights.
I was actually thinking this was going to be like Rock Zombies and the Freak Family against the Townies movie. But as soon as Hitler shows up, I had to realize, oh, he's not going to be the good guy.
And the fact that, the zombies, like, to a certain degree, are the good guys.
Uh-huh.
Well, they do go, the first thing they do when they get resurrected is go and kill the family. Unfortunately, from there, the second thing they do is go and play the concert while the family comes back to life. So...
I love that they drove to that concert, so zombies can barely remember how to drive and sing.
And sang their exact same song.
But for the rest of the film, everyone else walks there.
Yeah, but
by the way, they were the only ones who walked like they were dancing and walking at the same time.
Which was
they
amazing.
were walking like zombies, but managing to dance because they had rhythm because they're a band at the same time. It's unbelievable.
All right, fair enough. I have to give it a 10. I can't even go down to a 9. Like I was trying to avoid giving this a near perfect score, but there's no way that I can get away with it. So
I'm gonna go with
that's the daughter that danced during their audition.
It was constant. Like I swear that was a music video because at one point she's doing it in front of the house, then at the next point she's doing it in the middle of the road, and
it's doing the full Whitesnake.
Yeah, and it was just like, wow, you really nailed that genre moment.
Yeah, you knew what that was.
It just dawned on me how much of this movie didn't make sense. Yeah, I watched it all the way through, and it seemed to make perfect sense. Because everything just sort of flowed one thing to another.
I was gonna go with a 9 until this last thing occurred to me, and it's gonna be a 10, and it's because I think as Stan mentioned, Grand Guignol is the name of the town. So that isn't a last minute choice. It's mentioned several times. It is something from the beginning that they were calling it. That's a term that comes from Parisian theater, and it's a theater that specialized in dramatic but gruesome theater. So they thought they were presenting this from the beginning as a pretentious, gruesome that is the implication of that. So I was going to say a 9. I mean, I also dangerously close to a perfect score there. But we're all close to a perfect score. We do dock this film it gets a -1 because it is 98 minutes. It ticks over the dreaded 95. Could have shaved a couple of minutes off there. Even with that minus, we have a new number one of the Octagon.
Oh my God.
This one's coming out of nowhere. I'd never even heard of this film before we announced this.
This movie needs to be seen by everybody. Somebody has to find the original print. It needs to be put out on Blu-ray, 4K. It needs to be shown in theaters. It needs to be enjoyed and loved by everybody.
They need to put this episode of the show on the Shout DVD, Blu-ray.
Because this is an amazing, amazing piece of cinema. It's something else.
And not just number one.
What was the score? Octagon. We didn't hear.
What's the score? Because I'm building to the fact that
be quiet. Let
it is handily the new number one. The previous high was held by Miami Connection and Ninja 3: The Domination, tied at 86.5. This one comes in at a final score of 92.5.
Oh my Lord!
I always said we'd eventually, and it would be a monumental day when the movie finally beat Ninja 3. The fact that we had a movie that tied it was monumental. To score 92.5, I think we needed to stop doing the podcast because the search for the ultimate B movie is over. Nothing's beating this, ever.
It may very well be over, given the fact of what this movie is. Given the fact that this is a movie that, like you said earlier, Jack, isn't a Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie. It's not that well known per se. You know, that it's just out of nowhere, here's Hard Rock Zombies, and it's virtually everything that we're looking for.
This is, from everything I could find on the internet, we are going to be the first other than a Wikipedia page and an IMDb page, we're going to be the first people to ever have reviewed it on in a blog or a podcast or a video or anything else ever. So, yeah, but it needs to be. It needs to be loved. Go watch it, everybody, and then share it, and share the show.
I think that's where that's where it gets these big points, is the surprise factor of this much in something that we're pioneers in discovering this film.
Like when you have these books, 100 best bad movies you need to see or whatever, there's all these books and these different things. It's not on any of these either, like as far as I know,
Yeah, I mean, Ninja 3: The Domination totally is. Miami Connection totally is. I mean, we go through a lot of these movies, and there's a good reason that they scored high. This one is like, and you have no reason to believe it's going to score high. Oh, and then Hitler. But, it's just...
the value of actual Hitler cannot be overestimated. Overset,
especially the way it's presented in this film.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know that that's Hitler banging the werewolf daughter or whatever. But now that you know it's Hitler, it goes back. That scene takes on even more.
That's right. There's layers that you'll get from future viewings.
The ultimate B movie. Nobody knew what the ultimate B movie was. You had to discover it. We have discovered it. Nobody else has.
But think about the fact too. This movie was directed by a guy who was from Bombay, India, who directed Bollywood style movies as well. And he managed to do Hard Rock Zombies.
Yeah, he wrote things like an episode of The Flying Nun, I think, and things like that. Wow.
Yeah. This is everything screams, cult film, The Winner, right? I mean, it's just, you would never think it.
Still.
What do you want to start on the ultimate direct-to-video movie? What do you want to do next?
I mean, it figures that it would take Canon movies to I guess.
Yeah. I feel like we're underqualified to do the ultimate A movie.
Yeah.
I think we've got a specialized set of skills.
Now it's more that we're really moving on, just continuing to add to the list of ultimate B movies.
I'll just say from now on that it's the search for the second most ultimate. It's the penultimate B movie is what we're looking for. We're looking for something that falls between this and Ninja 3: The Domination. Miami Connection.
At this point, penultimate. At this point, I just want to talk about, like, we just need to talk about movies that we enjoy and have fun watching. Like, that's pretty much it. Where they score, I don't even care.
Yeah, I don't care because they're not topping this. Because it's done. It's over.
Jack, well done, Jack. Well done.
You're welcome.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do some business.
What a ride.
What a ride, yes.
All right. It seems well, we have a Patreon that you can support our search for the penultimate B movie, and
the second best B movie.
And so that's Cult Film Showdown. We're on Instagram, Cult Film Showdown, and we're on YouTube at Cult Film Showdown. And we're on WeTalkPodcast.com. They're our show sponsor. That is the home of the Octagon, where you can keep track of our search for the ultimate B movie and all of the movies that came in places 2 through 130 some that we're at right now. And We Talk Podcast also has a Twitter, and they have a Facebook. You can follow them there, and they'll tell you when the new episodes are coming out.
Oh boy, there's so much. I think I'm just gonna pack it all in and go watch this movie again, because for once
I can't wait to actually get together with you guys to watch this again.
For once, I may actually be starting to understand Nick and his constant rotations.
Oh, well, I was scared coming into this one that nobody would like this movie as much as I love this movie. I'm gladly you back me up and like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and let me say that as season 16 unfortunately has to continue, I feel bad for the Barbarians, because as much as I know it's going to be schlocky, it ain't Hard Rock Zombies. So
I'm just thinking to myself, I just added together my scores, and I would have given it, I think, an 85 or something like that, or 84. I think it would have been an 84. That means that your guys' scores were so ridiculously high.
44 out of 50 is what you gave it there, Jack.
Okay, so I would have had it at number 1 too. 88.
88.
Wow. But to average 92.5, it's incredible. That you guys must have just
49 for Stan, 48 for me, 46 for Nick, and 44 for you.
Wow.
That's yeah.
It's because for me, it really won. Where it wins is the fact that, okay, like Schlock Appeal, like lots of movies have gotten a good 10 from Schlock Appeal. It's the fact that it really nailed the heart. This felt like Crazy Heart. I mean, what the fuck is obvious? The crazy concept was so beyond crazy that it's just like, oh, I don't know how to like not give this high. And then for me, it did win because of memorable moments, because I know for a fact when like in a year, in 2 years, when we're doing an award show or whatever, like there will always be Hard Rock Zombies.
Oh, you can't get this out of... You could have hypnosis to get this out of your head,
yeah,
and you won't get this out of your head. It's not possible.
It was respectful of what's gone before, yet none of it felt cliched. I mean, nobody has ever tried to chase zombies out of a town using face masks before.
It's not even face masks. It's giant cardboard cutouts of like Jimi Hendrix and Elvis
and Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, that not only did they go to put giant heads of these people, but in like Marilyn Monroe's case, like they actually put like yellow like string and stuff coming out to try to fake the hair for no good reason. Oh,
that was the hair. Is that what it was? Then why did the one have pink strings coming out?
I think
they ran out of yellow.
That's the amazing thing, is that we undersold the
Yeah.
WTF in
Yeah.
this film.
Oh,
I can guarantee that we could watch this movie.
Mention like the not wanting the head to drip on the floor on her clean floor.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
so-
Oh yeah.
I just waxed. Oh yeah, just don't. Yeah.
Oh, I understand. I'll leave the head out here with my daughter.
Honestly,
yeah, with
like,
my 8-year-old.
yeah, we could find stuff coming out of this movie. Like another watch will easily bring
Clearly
up,
don't
like,
want to stop
something.
talking about it.
No,
It's just going on.
it's true. It's true. There's
All right,
so much to
let's
do.
wrap this sucker.
Yes. Okay. All right. I'm done. Next episode is the Barbarians. Good luck to it. You know, God bless, whatever. Like, but so for Jim and for Jack and for Nick, I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and thank you for listening to the final episode of the Cult Film Showdown.
I wanna hold your hand.